Good Monday morning, Year 4. This is Mrs. Keeley with your Personal Social Health Education lesson, PSHE. And remember, it's all about disability and equality education. So our learning journey at the moment is that you can think about what it means to make an assumption. I can reflect on the effective language chosen to describe someone. I can think about ways to get to know someone. And I can think about how to welcome someone who is disabled. In our PSHE lessons over the next few weeks, we will be thinking and learning about how assumptions can be made about children if they look, move, communicate, hear, see, or learn in a different way, and the effect of the language we use to describe people. And we're going to think about what it's like to be a disabled child in Britain today, and how we can make sure that everyone is welcome in our class. So we've got that definition on the side there of assumption and what that means. Assumptions are ideas people have that are not based on proven facts. So you might, if you see someone smiling, you might assume that they're a happy person. Okay, but in reality, you haven't got real evidence of that. They might just be smiling in that particular moment. So it's important not to make assumptions. Right, so this story was about assumptions. What happened in the story? The boy who grew flowers. So what happened to Rink, the boy pictured there? So these are my thoughts. You might have some different thoughts about what happened in the story. Rink and his family are different. Now, this means that other people don't understand Rink and they make assumptions about him and his family, and they tend to stay away from him. Because Rink and his family are different, the other children in his class, they don't talk to him, they leave him to get on with it, they leave him out, and they even laugh at him behind his back. Actually, even the teacher just leaves him to sit at that desk at the back of his classroom, but he obviously feels very shy and stays quiet because he knows people are making these assumptions about him. He knows people aren't just accepting him for his differences. But it all changes when Angelina comes along, and she is different too. Her difference is that one of her legs is slightly shorter than the other, so she finds it difficult to dance, for example. However, this difference is not really noticeable. And so the other children, they don't notice her difference, and they talk to her, and she does join in. But Angelina doesn't make judgments about Rink based on his difference. Rink helps Angelina by making her a special pair of shoes, and they do become great friends. Right, so we're just going to recap, and we're just going to make sure we are really clear on what that word disabled means. So listen super carefully. A child has a disability if they have an impairment, which means part of their brains or bodies work differently, and they may need some support or help to join in at school. For example, impairments such as being deaf, diabetic, blind, or physical impairments which mean a person might need to use a wheelchair. Also, that once a child gets used to their impairment, being disabled comes from not being able to join in the same way as other children. For example, being able to catch a bus into town if you use a wheelchair, or play at the park on the equipment, watch a film in class if you have a hearing aid and needs subtitles. Know you can play games with friends because everyone has thought about making sure games are fun for everyone. For example, if you're blind, because everyone has learnt non-seeing games. So it's making changes within a classroom or within any setting to make sure that everybody can access those and can be involved. Right, so I'm going to show you a little activity that will come on after this slide. There's some different pictures and there are some different words, okay? And I want you to think about matching up those pictures and those words. And I want you to use this task to think about asking the question, are disabled children always happy, never happy, sometimes happy, always sad, never sad, sometimes sad, okay? You will see it because I have a go, okay? Right, Year 4, so I've got this little activity for you to do. I'd like you to have a good look at the different images of the different people, the different children on the table here. And I'd like you to have a read through the words. In fact, we could do it together. So we've got pretty, left out, athletic, brave, happy, sweet, sad, amazing, fast, and special. And let's just have a little explore of the images whilst we're here. So we've got this little girl here, and she is in a wheelchair for, we don't know why, so we can't assume anything. We've got this little girl who's, looks like she's outside playing. She's got this nice purple coat on, I like that colour. Now, this is an interesting image. We've got this lady here, and she looks like she's in a wheelchair, but she's under the sea. Amazing. She's got some scuba diving equipment in her mouth there, you can see, so she can breathe. Even deaf child. So we can see that this girl here, she obviously works for some sort of organisation to do with children that are deaf. This little boy here, now I think we can make the assumption here that he maybe is partially sighted because he's holding a white stick. This little girl here, she looks incredibly happy, but she's using a frame to help her. And this little boy, he also looks incredibly happy. He looks like he's having a great time playing basketball. And this girl, now the only thing I can see is that maybe she's got some sort of hearing aid, or maybe she's having her hearing tested there. So those are the images. Oh, I forgot this one. And also we've got this one. So we've got a symbol of somebody in a wheelchair there. So the task is, what I'd like you to do is, in a second, I'd like you to pause, and I'd like you to see if you can have a go at putting the label, the word, with one of these children, with one of these images. Okay. Right, so hopefully you paused and you had a go. I'm going to have a go at doing the same. Right, so I said that this girl up here, to me, she looks incredibly happy. So I'm going to take the happy and I'm going to put that next to her. She looks really happy. Now, the word that just absolutely sticks with this is just amazing, because that is pretty awesome to go scuba diving. Maybe that's something you'd like to do when you're older. Now this one, the way that the symbol has been drawn with the person like really that's about to push the wheels on the chair, I reckon that could go quite fast. It seems to be saying maybe it's a symbol for like, careful, there's going to be fast movement here. What else? Now this little girl here, she's gorgeous, isn't she? She's very pretty. Let's put a pretty next to her. Let's have, do you know, I wonder if, I'm going to put brave up here, because I think to work for an organisation, you do have to be quite brave. That's probably quite challenging sometimes. Athletic. Now this little boy here, he's definitely doing something that's really athletic. There we go. This girl here, she's so sweet, isn't she? I'm going to put sweet next to her. Now remember, there's no right or wrong. Yours could be quite different. Now it's hard to tell whether this little girl is just really concentrating or if she's feeling a bit sad. So I'm not going to make that assumption. I'm going to put that one to one side. And it's really hard to make an assumption that any of these children feel left out. And also, I'm going to take special to one side as well, because I think everybody is special. So there's not a label for everyone, because I didn't want to make the wrong assumption, okay? I'm just assuming that this girl is happy because she's got a big smile. He must be athletic because he's doing a sport, and she just looks very pretty and she looks very sweet. So yours could be different. Have a think about it. Okay, have a think about what I've put, and did they match yours? Right, so I hope you enjoyed that activity. Right, so next, I just want you to have a look at these comments. Okay, have a think about them. Can you spot any assumptions, anything that you have your own ideas about, but which aren't based on facts? So we've got, he's so cute, I feel sorry for him, I expect he likes wheelchair racing, Look, there's Pedro. He likes Minecraft. Right, so which ones do you think involve using assumptions? And which comment sees the person first? See, I think the one at the bottom on the right, look, there's Pedro, he likes Minecraft. That's obviously somebody that knows Pedro, that's probably had a game of Minecraft with him. I don't think that's an assumption. What about the one above? I expect he likes wheelchair racing. That doesn't seem like they've seen Pedro first. It seems like they're looking at the wheelchair. Can we assume that Pedro likes wheelchair racing? I don't think we can. I think that's just an idea we have that's not based on any fact at all. What about he's so cute? Well, I think if he was like, oh, he's so cute, that could be based on actually what he looks like. So that's not really an assumption, and that's definitely seeing him first and not the wheelchair. I feel sorry for him. No, I think that's a real assumption, because to feel sorry for someone, you'd have to know for a fact that they're sad, that they're not having a good time, that they don't like their situation. And I don't think that is the right assumption to make about Pedro. In this particular image, he looks quite happy. But again, we can't assume he's totally happy, because that's just based on an idea. Right, so you will see in the link I have posted, along with the description of this PSHE lesson, you will see a link to this TED Talk with this lady called Sue Austin. Okay, so you will see in this TED Talk Sue Austin talking about her experience. I know it says pause at 47 seconds. You can do that just to think about what words she's using to describe her feelings. And then you can pause again at 1 minute 20 seconds, and you can think about how other people react to her and how this made her feel. But it's only about 7 minutes, and I would watch the whole thing. Right, so hopefully you enjoyed watching that TED Talk about Sue Austin. Right, so I want you to think about these 3 questions. I just want you to have a think of these, and then once you've had a think and you've had a go, then I will share with you my thoughts, okay? Because these are quite tricky, these are quite challenging. So the first one is, why do you think Sue made this film? Okay, if you watch the TED Talk, she does talk about it. She doesn't say exactly why, but she does talk about some of the reasons that she wanted to make this film. The next question, why do you think Sue chose to combine using a wheelchair with scuba diving? Now, she talks about what scuba diving represents, and then she talks about what a wheelchair normally represents. So why do you think Sue Austin, a wheelchair user, why do you think she chose to combine the two? And the last question, what assumption does Sue Austin challenge? So you might assume something about people in wheelchairs. Hopefully after this lesson you won't. But what assumption does this challenge? Okay, seeing as though this lady, Sue Austin, she decided to do all sorts of pieces of art, go and do scuba diving. Okay, so think about that one. Okay, guys, so I said that I would come back to you with my thoughts. So hopefully yours, were similar, but you might well have had some of your own thoughts. So brilliant, good for you if you did. Right, so I think that Sue Austin made this film to challenge people's assumptions of wheelchair users. So remember on the PowerPoint, we looked at that definition of what assumption means, okay? Next, to try to change people's judgment of wheelchairs, okay, and what a wheelchair might represent. So why do you think that Sue chose to combine using a wheelchair with scuba diving? So I've said to interest and surprise people and to give a new perspective on what wheelchair users can do, and to show that a wheelchair can give freedom in the same way that scuba diving can. So right at the beginning of the TED Talk, Sue Austin talks about, the power chair, the fact that it gave her, great excitement, and now she could do all these things that she hadn't been able to do. Right, so what assumption does Sue Austin challenge? That wheelchair users are limited in what they can achieve. that hasn't been the case with Sue Austen at all. She's done a lot more than a lot of able-bodied people will achieve. Next, that people should feel sorry for wheelchair users and that wheelchair users are weak, afraid and different to able-bodied people. I think she really does well in challenging that assumption. Right, well, lots and lots to think about. Discuss this with your family if you can. See what they think, see what their perspective is, see what their opinion is. And I really look forward to hearing your thoughts in this afternoon's Zoom.